My name is Bruce Trammell, and part of my story is in New Haven, but part of it is also in New York, Brooklyn, because that's where I was born. And I came to New Haven when I was 9 years old. But I'm the oldest of 10 kids. And the idea is that I was also the oldest grandchild, the oldest of my generation to be born. And one of my father's cousins, she had 10 also. So there's actually like 20 of us here in New Haven as with just two families. So the thing about our family is that my father was an only child, and he thought that the best thing for him to do was to have a lot of kids. He thought that, if he had a lot of kids, that, it would like insulate him. Now, the thing about this is that my father came from a grandfather who was one of 25 between two wives of one man. There was 25 kids. There was 18 boys out of that. Yeah, it's a lot of. So that's what my father was used to. He was used to a large, large group of people. So for him to just be one child, I think that was a little, kind of struck him a little. Like, I got to do something about this at some point in my life. So he always just wanted a lot of kids, and so that's what he had. And he taught us a lot, taught me a lot. We used to hang out a little bit together. We'd walk around New Haven together. We'd do things. And I can remember a lot of the things that were happening in New Haven when I was growing up, like the Black Panther trial was going on. We went down to the courthouse to try and get in and see if we could be a party to what was going on, but it was so many people out there, so many, we couldn't get anywhere close to the door, and couldn't get in there at all. So, but it was things like that we would do together. As he got older, what we used to do is I would take him down to Virginia, where he was born, to see relatives, and it'd be just me and him. But those trips, I'm telling you, sometimes we get along, sometimes we just wouldn't. And he would come home, and the first thing he'd do is he'd tell my mother, he said, "I'm never taking another trip with Bruce again." And she said, "Yeah, okay." And then about 8 months later, he said, "Bruce," he said, "you feel like going to Virginia?" I said, "Yeah, Dad." Okay, let's make a trip. So to keep him happy, I had to do one thing. I had to get him his own can of cashews. Planters cashews. Now, if I got him those cashews, he would drive. And he'd be happy. I could just rest, He'd just drive along eating his cashews. So we had moments like that, and that's what inspired, my idea of what manhood and fatherhood was about. Because the men that were around us, they knew each other, and as youngsters, we knew each other. So my father's best friend, his son was my best friend. And sometimes we'd be together, we'd go places together, we'd do things. And the other men around us, my uncles and my granduncles, they were also a part of this journey that I took of growing up and understanding how to do things. And so there was always somebody there that would help me understand who I was and remember who I was and where I came from. Now, one of my uncles, I remember, he took me, we were down in Brooklyn. I went down to see him one time. It was, late at night. So he says, "Come on, let's go out." Okay, so where we going? He said, I'm gonna take you to see something. All right. So he takes me to the corner, right? Where the guys are standing around and they're talking and they're telling stories, but I really think they were telling lies. Because that's really what they did. But there was one person there that would validate that story. You see, that older person. And they would tell that lie, and they would turn to him, and they'd look at him, and they'd say, is it true? Is it true? And everybody would wait. He said, yeah, young blood, you got it. See, I told you, see? I told you. So I learned that that's important to men when they get together and they talk, how they interact with each other and how they bounce their ideas off of each other and how they feel, if I tell you something, I need somebody to validate what I'm saying. And that's the whole idea about manhood, is that a lot of times guys don't know when they became a man because there's nobody to validate it. You see? So I can tell people, I know when I became a man. It's when my father told me so. I'm telling you. He told me to. I came home from work. I was working. I was like 19 years old, right? Living at home. Got a car. Got me a full-time job. Working at Rock Bestis. You guys know about Rock Bestis, right? All right. So I'm working at Rock Bestis. I'm doing my thing. I come home, and normally what would happen is my mom would pick me up, we'd go home, and she'd have a plate waiting for me in the oven, right? Well, I go home and there's no plate. Okay? It's like, 11 o'clock at night, there's no plate for me? So I'm wondering, like, what happened? So my dad is like, well, he says, Bruce, your mom is not your girl. He said, your mom is my girl. Okay? And if you want a girl, you got to go out and get one. He said, your mom can't answer to two men. He said, and one of us is going to have to go. He said, but I pay the rent. He said, so guess who's got to go? So it wasn't immediate, he didn't push me out that day. But he gradually let me know that there would never be a plate left in the oven for me again. What was going to happen is that, I had to go and get a meal, and warm it up and eat it and be happy with that, no matter what my mom makes. 'Cause she's a good cook, I like her food. But it was just not going to happen. So he let me know right then and there that I was a man and I had to have the responsibility of a man. And I had to do what I needed to do to make a life for myself, because that's what he did. So there were lessons that he taught, and it wasn't always a traditional way of teaching it, but it was always a lesson. It was always something that he was teaching me. So chess, that was, his big thing. My father played chess like nobody's business. He loved chess. And he played all over New Haven. He played at McDonald's, he played at Burger King's, he played at Dunkin' Donuts, all of these different places. He played chess. And he just studied and he played and he had teams, and it brought us together, but it also tore us apart at one point, because he pushed chess on me so much that I began to really dislike this game that I was good at. For a long time, I would not tell anybody that I knew how to play chess. I didn't own a chessboard. I got rid of all my chessboards. I got rid of all my books. I got rid of everything because I didn't want to be associated with it because it was a crutch for me. And the crutch was this. My father, in his infinite wisdom, what he would do is I would go out with him somewhere, right? And he would say to someone, they would ask him, can I play you? He'd say, well, if you beat my son, you get a chance to play me. So that meant that I was playing a lot of games of chess. People trying to beat me just to play my father. And he got a kick out of that, But it improved my game a lot. It really did. And when we started playing tournaments, that brought us back together again. Because that was a moment when we could go places together. We could go to Vermont and play a tournament. We could go to Virginia and play a tournament. We could play tournaments in Connecticut. We could play all over, anywhere we wanted to go. But it was our time, just me and him. Now as an adult, and he's older, and it's just us. So I began to love the game again. And now, I'm looking forward to playing a lot more chess as I get older. So that's part of what got me into fatherhood, and that's what I'm doing now, trying to help guys to understand their place and their meaning to their families and their kids, and how important they are. Despite the things that they may think that they don't bring to the table, you got to understand your kids see a lot. And if you're consistent with what you do, and you're that man that, you need to be, they'll see that, and they'll appreciate that. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right.